Okay, so again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining today. And we continue the Avalokiteshvara Guru Yoga, particularly composed by His Holiness Dalai Lama. I think it's a very powerful practice, and so, yeah, as usual, we will start with the first short breathing meditations, watching your breath mindfully for a few moments to quiet our mind and to bring our mind in the moment, present. We try to generate good intention by thinking, may I ask coming here together to listen and to reflect on the meaning of what we have listened, contemplate, and to engage in whatever discussions, if we have any questions, sharing, do all of that. May it become cause and conditions to have perfect practice of Guru Yoga, which is the very root of all the practice and realizations. And they may be cause and conditions to actualize true loving kindness, compassion, and true bodhicitta mind, conventional ultimate bodhicitta mind, within our mind stream, like just as His Holiness Dalai Lama, Avalokiteshvara, have actualized. And may we be able to follow His example in being great help and benefit to the world, to all sentient beings. Having generated the two bodhicitta mind, gradually may we be able to enter the five paths of bodhisattvas, ten bhumi, gradually, and to be able to achieve fully awakened state of Guru Avalokiteshvara. So that we can be greatest help, benefit to each and every sentient beings. Okay. To the founder, the endowed and standard destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect knowledge and in good conduct. Sugata, know of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed. Teachers of God, human beings to you, the completely and fully awakened one. The endowed and standard destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya plane, I prostrate, make offering and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with as much bodies as many as all rams, Adams in all aspects, with a supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action, perform only perfect virtuous action, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha, a star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning and cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through those merits, may all sentient beings attain the rank of all things, subdue their fall of faults, and deliver from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate to the Arya Vajjan, thus did I hear one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Bodhisattva mountain in Rajgiri, together with a great community of monks and great community of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan observed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the aggregates of profound perfection and wisdom? He said that in Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection and wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness form, emptiness not other than form. Form is not also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition of factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unsustained, not without stain, not division, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition of factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no phenomena, no object, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance and no extinction of ignorance, so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattva rely on dwelling the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration, without fear. Having completely passed beyond era, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly, completely awakened, unsurprisable, perfect, complete enlightenment, and reliable, perfect wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection and wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurprised mantra, the mantra equal to the ani. The mantra that truly facts all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of perfection and wisdom declare that kade kade, parasam kade, bote soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that, and then the Bhagavan arose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, Well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharititi Putra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding the entire day, along with the worlds of gods, humans, Asura, and Gandharvas were overjoyed, highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Can we go to the... Yeah, thank you. Sashibeki Jonshimeto Tariralishi Yende Yembani Sangye Shintu Midewai Dokun Namada Shila Chepa Shoyedam Gurulana Mandala Offerings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, and by the merits I create to listen to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentients. Sangye Chodam Sogi Sonam La, Chanchu Badu Dani, Dagi Shwe Give Sonam, Kola Penche Sangye Do. Sangye Chodam Sogi Sonam La, Chanchu Badu Dagi Shwe Give Sonam, Kola Penche Sangye Do. So I think even though there are many different practice of Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassions, short, more simplified, and more extensive and very extensive. We have been particularly, at the very beginning, my wish was to do more a simple Avalokiteshvara practice, but since I think in some Tuesdays this practice is done, and also it has been, I was requested to teach on that, and also I happen to have the oral transmission of that, which because it's composed by His Holiness, so His Holiness gave oral transmission, not very often, I think, or very in the past, only a few times for, and so one of my teachers had got that, and I received from him, and so I was hoping to do the oral transmission, but maybe not now until we open the center. Of course, people who are not here and who are from distant, they have no other options, so that will be a difference. But people who are here, then I think it should, and it is better if it is in person. So that will, the oral transmission is set properly. It will only be after we open it, and so that is one of the reasons that I think why we do, or why we have been going through this particular practice, and I hope all of you have downloaded the material, the practice itself, so you can follow as we go by. And so, it starts with a preliminary, of course, with every practice, you start with a right motivation, bodhicitta motivations, and then refuge and bodhicitta, and then both immeasurable practice taught, and then blessing and purifying the place and the offerings. And then it comes to the actual practice itself of the visualization of the merit field here. Guru Avalokiteshvara, here Guru, his own Dalai Lama, by seeing his own Dalai Lama and Avalokiteshvara Cheresek, one inseparable, and then once we have visualized as Avalokiteshvara, then as a way to receive the blessings and accumulate merit and purify, then we do the practice of 6 limb, 7 branches or 7 limb practices. And we just went through that until last week up to the 5, and last week we've kind of focused quite a bit on all different symbols of, the color of the deities and different posture, mudras, different implements, all these. If all of those are not just a kind of artist creating something that looks nice, it's not something, each of them have meaning. Each of them is not some kind of creative artist trying to make it beautiful, all of them has a very specific meaning, and all of those present inner qualities of that here, Guru Avalokiteshvara, inner qualities. By remembering, so when you look at each of those, by remembering each of those qualities, inner qualities, so then that should inspire us to cultivate those inner qualities within ourselves, Just like if you see a beautiful place, you want to go that place, don't you? You see a beautiful pictures of one places, or you see a video of beautiful places and you feel like, oh, I wish I could go there, or I want to go there, Or you see something nice objects, something nice new objects come, whatever that might be, and you see, oh, it's nice. I wish I could have that. I want to have that. That should be the same when you practice through those, when you see the image with all those different things, then you have to remember how each of those different implements, color, posture represent those inner quality, and feel like, oh, I want to cultivate those inner quality. How wonderful it would be if I can have those quality within myself, And I would like to have those qualities in myself, develop those qualities in myself. And that will be on my first bucket list, So you put on your bucket list, that is something I want to do, something that I want to accomplish, something that I want to develop. So that is the purpose. And so that for that purpose, I think we kind of went quite a bit last week on all these different symbol or representations of the Avalokiteshvara and Guru Avalokiteshvara. So, and then we finished first 5 of the 7 limb practice, prostrations, paying homage, making offerings, then confessions, confessing our negative, whatever negative action we have created, and then rejoicing the virtues of others and oneself. So I think maybe we finished 4, and we are on the requesting. I think we're on the 5. So yeah, we finished 4, and we're on the 5th. And that's the question here, so the request here is to request to turn the wheel of Dharma, meaning requesting to teach us, show us, and help us, guide us, help us by showing the path, that how to actualize the Dharma within ourselves so that we can free ourselves, liberate ourselves from all the delusions, all the obscurations, and to achieve enlightenment. So that is the request. And again, there's a difference between receiving someone's guidance, advice, suggestions when you request, and without you requesting, someone giving you a kind of advice, suggestion, or opinions, instructions. When we request, our mind is more open. When we request, it means we have interest in that. So when you have that interest and open-minded, then whatever suggestion you receive, whatever advice you receive, whatever opinion, whatever instruction you receive, you receive it, you get it, and you fall into the practice. Otherwise, you feel, someone's interfering with you. Do you get it? Someone is interfering with you for giving advice, suggestion when you are not interested, when you have not asked for it. So instead of being able to really kind of be helpful and beneficial, sometimes we just kind of shut down our ears. I don't want to be preached. I don't want to be, that is our attitude, Don't interfere with my business, and don't that is our attitudes, Don't give me don't preach, So that is, and so even someone has a good advice, instruction, suggestion, we are unable to hear well, and we are able to receive it because the interest is not coming from your side, and your mind is not so open. So the request is because when you request someone's instruction, advice, that means you are interested in hearing their instruction, their advice, their suggestions. And your mind is more open, and because of that, you are able to hear, you are able to listen better, you are able to hear better, you are able to receive better, and through that, and you are able to put into practice, and then it becomes beneficial, helpful. So that is why we try to do the request. That is the purpose of requesting. So here the verses of request is, again, there are many different. Here I request you to Guru Avalokiteshvara, to you awaken every living beings, awaken from ignorance, awaken from all the delusions and obscurations, from the sleep of ordinary and instinctive defilements. I'm going to see Tibetan versions. What is the Tibetan versions? Because I don't know what is ordinary and instinctive defilement here referring to. Okay. I think it's different translations, Normally we translate, where was that? the obscuration, defilement, and obscuration of knowledge, the subtle obscurations, so that is what it is. There's afflictive emotions, okay? That is the obscuration of afflictive emotions or defilement, such as anger, hatred, attachment, ignorance, jealousy, and so forth. So that here, I think ordinary here refer to that. And instinctive defilement here, refer to, normally our translation would be, obscuration of knowledge, is the imprint led by the delusions, the imprint led by the delusion, that obscure from being omniscient, omnipresent, all-knowing. And that imprint give rise to the appearance of inherent existence, so that is what it is. And so that is to awake from that sleep of ordinary instinctive defilement with the divine music or Dharma pure truth. So how can one be awake from that sleep? Is through practicing the pure Dharma. Pure Dharma. By practicing the pure Dharma. In order to practice the pure Dharma, then, we have to know how to practice. In order to know how to practice, then someone has to show us how to practice. And so therefore here is a requesting, to divine musics of that speech, through the divine music, the truth, resounding with the melodies of profoundness and peace, And here resounding with the melody of profound, and again, this is very much kind of poetic, poetics, kind of put in a very poetic way. So that is why the profound and peace, normally I think in most of the normal translation will be the profound and vast, and that is the teaching on the method and the wisdom, profound is the teachings on wisdom, and the vast is the method. So, and so the practice, pure Dharma practice is by actualizing the wisdom and the method. The wisdom relies on the ultimate truth or reality, and the method of loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, And so in order to cultivate that, we need to practice, and we didn't know how to do. So therefore, please show us, please teach us, please give us an instruction how to do that, And in accordance with the disposition of your various disciples. And again, this is a very important part. Here is saying, please show us the path, teach us, give us instruction, according to needs of individuals, according to the level of individual's mind, according to the level of individual karma, according to the level of individual predispositions, imprint. Because among disciples, there will be many different levels, For some, profound teaching can be shown. For some, they are not ready for those profound teachings, so it has to be more middle kind of level of teachings. For them, even that they are not ready for that, so then it has to be very basic teachings. And the profound teachings does not be profound if the disciple is not ready for that. Normally, certain teachings are supposed to be very profound. But on individual level, the most basic teaching might be most profound for that being. So again, whether it's profound, whether it's vast, it also depends on the person who is receiving it. Something that is profound for someone is not profound for another being. someone who is not profound and someone else will be very profound with someone else. For some, you can give so-called most of the most profound, highest level of tantric teachings, practice. It doesn't mean anything to them, Nothing changes in their mind with all this teaching, or even emptiness. Nothing goes in their mind, nothing changes their mind. But you give teaching on karma, that can be very profound, that transform their mind, change their mind. And so that is very important. From what we teach and from what we receive. Sometimes we become, like it's our human nature. I don't know, I'm going to say the human nature, the right word, but ordinary human beings, we like to have the so-called, the most profound and the best everything, So whatever is best teachings, whatever is most profound teachings or practice, we want to have that. Or I don't want to have the basic teachings. I don't want to have the very those basic teachings, beginner teachings or practice. I want to have more advanced and more profound, But to be able to those teaching to be received and practice receive and to be profound, you have to have foundation. If you don't have foundation, those teaching practice are no profoundness. And so we have to be also be honest with ourselves and trying to find where my level is at the moment, and where I need to work on, what I need to develop, what I need to work on, instead of trying to rush all the time and trying to rush and reach the destination as quick as possible, that doesn't work the way it doesn't work, that way. And so that is where here it's saying, according with the predisposition or dispositions of the various disciples, because various disciples have different state of minds. And they need to be guided differently. It can't be same. They need to be guided differently. They need to be taught differently. They need to be, because they are not same. And again, it is individualist. It needs to be treated more individualist according to their capacity, their ability, their dispositions, and then it becomes very beneficial, helpful. And it is said, Adisha, the great Indian masters, Adisha, who came to Tibet and revived the Buddhism again in 10th, 11th century. When he first came, the king who invited him, when he first met him, he requested Adisha, please do not give all these profound teachings on Tantra and all these kind of things, but please give a teaching that is most beneficial to the people here in Tibet. And it is that Adisha was extremely very happy and pleased by that request. He wasn't interested in this profound, so-called profound and all these advanced and profound teachings and that, but he was more interested in what is most beneficial to the people. And most beneficial is those basic teaching and those basic practice. And he said Adisha was extremely pleased by that, because normally, when you have great teachers coming, all you want is something more profound that you have not heard before, something very special, and therefore, if you read all the Adisha's writings and everything, even though he spent 17 years in Tibet. And even though he was the most accomplished, both philosophically, sutra, tantra, master at that time, you don't hear anything like, him giving initiations in Tibet. You don't hear that. You don't see his writing on that, his advice on that. So anyway, I think I got kind of sidetracked a bit. So that is the requesting. And the next one in entreating, supplication. I entreat you to firmly establish your feet upon the indestructible Vajra throne, Again, the Vajra, okay, maybe not. In an indissoluble state of evam, so again, evam has a meaning of, in Tantra, there is a meaning of, illusory body and clear light mind, union of that. In Sutra, is the union of method and wisdom, so that kind of wisdom and the method, or the clear light is indestructible, and cannot be destroyed, indissoluble, indestructible. Until every sentient being gained a calm breath of joy in the state of final realizations, until each and every sentient beings achieve their highest potential or the full potential of fully awakened state, the ultimate happiness and ultimate joy, unfettered by the extreme of worldliness and tranquil liberations, and unfettered by the extreme of worldliness, samsara, or the other extreme is tranquil liberation, which is individual liberations, that you are blissed out in yourself and not having so much concern for others, but just concerned with your own liberations, So without any of that, so basically entreating the Guru Avalokiteshvara, to remain as long as samsara exists, as long as until each and every sentient being is liberated to fully enlightened state that's free from two extremes, until each and every sentient being has been, guided to ultimate happiness, ultimate joys of fully enlightenment, through the practice of union of method and wisdom, So, and it is mentioned, many of the, teachings again, that when we request our Guru Deity to have long life and to remain until samsara ends, until each and every sentient being is liberated, when we request for their longevity in that way and to remain for a long time, we create a lot of virtues in marriage, and it also becomes call for our own longevities, even though we are not requesting for our own individual longevity, but when we request for longevity of the Guru Avalokiteshvara here, or Guru Deity, karma is such, whatever it goes away, it comes back. When you wish someone bad, something bad happens to you. When you wish something good for someone else, something good happens to you. That's how karma functions. So when you wish someone to have long life, you create a karma to have long life yourself. When you wish someone to have short life, then you create karma to have your own short life. And so therefore again, and again, even though the Guru Avalokiteshvara, even though someone like His Holiness, even though because of their compassions, because of their commitments, compassion, dedication towards the well-being of sentient beings, whether we request or not, they will always be there until they're able to liberate each and every sentient beings. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he make the prayers, from the Shantidevas, as long as there's as long as there's sentient being, as long as space remain, may I too remain until until I'm able to in order to liberate their miseries or sufferings, And he made that prayers every day, and he practiced that, He wanted to be in such a way there's more sufferings, so that he can liberate until each and every sentient being is free from all their suffering. But even though that is from their side, they have made that wish, determinations, dedications with their incredible compassion. But also from our side, we have to make also that request. Then we create strong karmic connections so that we can continue to meet them in many lifetimes, life after life, so we can continue to receive and we can continue to be guided, And so, by making such entreatment or request from outside, and because of that, it creates stronger karmic connection. And because of that stronger karmic connections, then it can help the Guru to have longer life. Because of our karmic connections, so therefore for our own sake, they can manifest more longer. So that is that. And then 7, the dedications. I dedicate fully all my virtues, actions, all 3 times. Okay, all the virtues that we have created, body, speech, and mind, 3 doors. Of all the time, all the virtues we have created in the past, present, all the virtues that we will be creating in the future, So that I may receive continuous care from my masters, So we dedicate all our virtues to be guided and to be under the care by the Guru Avalokiteshvara, his own Dalai Lama, Avalokiteshvara, in this life, in the intermediate stage, Parto, and all future lives until we achieve enlightenment. It's very important to make such dedication, prayers, so that even if we have a long human life this time, if we don't meet such a great masters, qualified master, we might still be lost. Just as so many people are being lost in this life, not being able to meet the Dharma. Or even they meet the Dharma, they cannot connect with that because they don't have the strong imprint of karma. Or they don't meet the right qualified teachers. So to be able to not only have better human life, but to be able to meet the mastered and to be guided life after life until achieve enlightenment, we need to make those prayer and dedications all the time and attain fully enlightenment for the benefit of all. And the reason to be under the care and guidance of such master in all through lifetimes is so that under their guidance, care, instructions, teachings, so we can continue to practice. Through practicing, continue to, cultivate all the method and wisdom, all the realizations, so we can achieve enlightenment. And the reason to achieve enlightenment is not because, we want to kind of have a very peaceful life, blissful life, but in order to be greatest benefit and help to others. The purpose of achieving enlightenment is not to escape ourselves from the samsara. Do you get it? The reason to achieve enlightenment is not because I want to escape from the samsara. Samsara is miserable. There's too much suffering and I want to escape from that. The reason is so I can be more benefit, greater benefit, and greater and more benefit to all sentient beings, so that through accomplishing my prayers, the supreme deed of Samanvada, So, through accomplishing all our prayers, the supreme deed of Samanvada, like the prayer of Samanvada, the king of the prayer that you see, king of the prayer is the prayer of Samanvada, one of the great prayers or dedications that we can make like that, like the king of that. So up to here, then we, and dedicating virtues of merit is very important in so many different ways, by dedicating our virtues. So here it is dedicating that way. Again, I think I have mentioned, we can dedicate to achieve enlightenment as it is said here, for the benefit of all sentient beings. We can dedicate for the long life of our gurus, masters, so that all sentient beings can continue to receive the teaching and instructions. We can dedicate for the long flourishing and of the Dharma, because that is the source of all the happiness of all sentient beings. So we can dedicate in like that. And when we dedicate for the benefit of all sentient beings, in many of the teachings, they give advice of putting one drop of your water into the oceans. When you put one drop of water in the oceans, as long as oceans is there, part of your drop of water is there. So when we dedicate for all sentient beings and to achieve enlightenment, then until we achieve enlightenment, then we will continue to experience the result of that virtues without finishing, inexhaustible. It's like, until your part of water is there, drop of water, part of that is there until the oceans dry up. Similarly, until each and every sentient being is liberated, until you achieve fully enlightenment, you're part of that you made dedication and like that remain all the time. So it's a way of increasing and multiplying your virtues. Your virtues is a very powerful way and method of kind of multiplying. There's a story, you say in Tibet, there was one man who was very smart, from a worldly point of view, okay? very smart from a worldly point of view. So he saw a friend, who has we call samba, barley roasted flour, that is one of the main staples, And so it's one of someone has a barley samba, huge, and he has another kind of samba, very little, but who has something special, So he said, let us mix it, and they mix it, And so after they mix it, they started to sharing. When they eat, And then after a few days, the other says, your portion is gone, You have already finished your portions, Because when he mix it, he has very small. And he said, but because he has mixed, now he cannot differentiate. So he said he's there as long as it is there, it's still there. So he cannot argue that now anymore because his part is still there because they have been mixed, And so that was his way of kind of, increasing his stable to eat, So that is like the virtues here in that way, how to increase and multiply and improve. And also when you dedicate in that way, then your virtues cannot be destroyed by anger completely, Otherwise, our virtue can be destroyed by anger or wrong views and anger. Our virtues, certain amount of the virtues can be destroyed by the moment of anger, But when you dedicate in that way, then the anger cannot destroy it fully or completely. And so therefore, again, that's why dedication is important. And therefore, Adisha, as Adisha explained in one of his Lojong practice, it's very important, two things, very most important two things at the very beginning and end. Beginning with the Bodhisattva motivations. At the end, dedicating for well-being of all sentient beings, for enlightenment. And so that is very, very important factors in a Mahayana's practice. Whatever practice you do, formal practice, always start with a good bodhicitta motivation, and always end with most powerful, beneficial dedications to end. So that is, so with that, it is the seven link. And the next is Mandala Offerings, And again, Mandala Offerings is a powerful way of creating merit by visualizing and imagining, offering the whole universe and everything that is in that universe, imagining particularly whole universe and all the incredible wealth and all the good things that is in that, offering all of them without any hesitation, without any sense of loss, without any sense of expectations, fully, sincerely from your mind, training to offer it. And it's a very powerful way of creating merit. So to practice the Mandala offerings, even you are very poor with nothing, you can still create so much merit by doing that Mandala offering practice. And so it's said to be one of the most powerful way of creating merit. So here the Mandala, and again, in terms of Mandala offerings, there are many different versions, 37 heaps that we normally kind of known, that's coming from all kind of Sagya traditions, but it's commonly kind of practiced in all the traditions. And then, according to Lama Tsongkhapa traditions, there's 23 hips, 25 hips, and then there's 7 hips. That is the norm, so then again, within Mandala, right, there are very short versions with all the 7 hips. There's more kind of middle versions with the 26, 27, 25, 23 or 25 hips, then longer versions of 37 hips. But again, you can use any of those, and the verse sometimes might be slightly different, so here is about the virtues are offering to you, assembly of the Buddhas visualized before me, so again, here that is being visualized in front of us is, Guru Avalokiteshvara, Guru Avalokiteshvara with 3 beings, we already discussed those before. Samaya beings with Avalokiteshvara, and his own Dalai Lama. In his heart, there's a wisdom being, that is the Avalokiteshvara, forearm, Charisi. And at the heart of the Avalokiteshvara, there's concentration being, the Sri Salipo. So that is what visualized here in front of before me. This mandala built on the base, splendid with flowers, so the base is, full of, spread by all the, beautiful, frequent flowers you can imagine. Like sometimes when you see events, very special event when they kind of throw all the flowers, when there are big events, where there's a wedding or like that, the whole area is full of all beautiful flowers. So you can imagine the whole earth, whole filled with all best, splendid with flowers, saffron waters, and incense, adorned with Mount Meru in the center. That's the center of the universe, Whether there's actually Mount Meru or not, that is something else, that is another topic and discussions among scholars, Some things, Mount Kailash is the Mount Meru, something that is not. There's another Mount Meru, center of the universe, that we might not be able to see, but it is there. But according to some, it's just imaginations creating that kind of world and offering it. So it doesn't matter, So according to that, so whether there's actual or it's just imaginations, visualization, the center is Mount Meru, then there's a 4 continents on the 4 directions, And our continent is supposed to be the southern continent, Zambudeva, as well as the sun and the moon, and then the sun and the moon. So in this case, it's 7 hips. Those 7 hips are the first hip is Mount Meru, okay, and 4 continents. So then it becomes 5 hips, and the sun and the moon, 2 hips, so it becomes 7 hips. So sometimes when you hear 7 hip mandala, so that is what it is. And by offering this universe, so even though you are just offering in the words, even though you are just reciting the 7 hip, even you are making the hip, you are just making 7 hip, but then you have to visualize all the rest of others are inside that. When there's 4 continents, then there will be 8 subcontinents will be included there. And then all the objects of those continents and wealth of all those continents are included inside that. It's like when you offer the world, you don't have to think each what is in the world. Everything that is in has been offered. And by offering that, may all sentient beings share it in boundless effect. And by offering that, May all sentient beings be able to share its boundless effect. Its boundless effect is, create boundless, immeasurable merit and achieve enlightenment. This offering I make of you, precious jewel mandala, together with other pure offerings and wealth. So again, even your mandala set, it can be made out of, precious jewels. Sometimes people made out of gold, silver, bronze, different material things. Sometimes it's made of silver, gold-plated, and with other stones and so whatever. Or it can be just made out of wood, stone. But you imagine, even whatever that object is really made out of, but in your mind, you imagine it's made out of all the precious jewels, stones, minerals, together with other pure offerings, The pure offerings can be, offerings that you have, we have accumulated through right livelihood instead of wrong livelihood, that we, instead of being accumulated by, cheating and harming others, instead that's something that you have created with a right livelihood. So in that can be one way of looking at the pure offerings. The other ways is pure motivations, without any worldly motivations, but without any worldly motivations. So pure offering, and as well as other wealth, whatever wealth, and our own, and all our, everything that we own, everything that we belong to us, including our body, we offer that. And the virtues were collected throughout times, and all the virtues that we have created through body, speech, and mind, and 3 times, past, present, future, and all my body, speech, and mind. So again, we offer all of that. Our own body, speech, mind, our own virtues, all our virtues, and all the wealth, everything that we possess, we make all this offering. Oh, my master, my yidam, and the 3 precious jewels, I offer all to you with unwavering faith. So here, Guru Avalokiteshvara, His Holiness Avalokiteshvara here, is my masters. He is my yidam. He is my 3 precious jewels, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. We imagine that. He's all the masters. He's the source of all the masters. He's the yidam. He's the source of all the yidams. He's the 3 jewels and source of all 3 jewels. Every master manifests from that. Every yidam manifests from that. Every 3 jewels manifest from that. Every master is a display of that Guru Avalokiteshvara. Every yidam is a display of manifestation of that Guru Avalokiteshvara. Every 3 jewels, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, is the display and manifestation of Guru Avalokiteshvara. So with that understanding, with that feeling, by seeing that way, then we offer all of this without unwavering faith. Unwavering faith. The faith that cannot be moved and changed easily by, someone's mistake, by someone's misguidance, because that faith is very much rooted in our own experience, the experience that's very much rooted in our understanding and wisdom. The faith that is not rooted, the faith that is not blind faith, but the faith that is rooted in reasoning, logic, and wisdom. The faith that you have experienced through your own experience. So that unwavering faith, accepting this out of your boundless compassions, send forth to me the wave of your inspiring strength. So then please accept with your boundless, limitless, impartial compassions, unconditional compassion out of all of that. Please request him to accept that, and then after receiving that, then, send forth myself and all sentient beings the wave of your inspiring strength so that we can have incredible strength, inner strength, confidence, courageous like yourself, that with that kind of inner courage, confidence, and strength, that we will not be able to waver our path, that we will not be, give up easily our path because of certain obstacles, challenges, and adversaries. Because when we are trying to be on the path of compassion, path of kindness, path of bodhicitta, the path of bodhisattva, it's not easy all the time. If you don't have strength, you can easily give up. You try to be kind, compassionate, but there are certain people, individuals, who might not be kind to you, but instead of that, who can be unkind, mean, cruel. And when that happens, whether it is unkind, mean, cruel to yourself or towards another sentient beings, then we can easily lose the compassion. We can be easily lose the compassion. We can easily be frustrated and angry, and thereby losing our compassion, kindness, bodhicitta, and bodhisattva path. So not to lose that, we need an incredible strength, inner strength, courageous, and confidence. And that is what the Bodhisattva has. That's what all the Buddhas have. That's what the Guru Avalokiteshvara had. So that is something we inspire. That's something we want to cultivate. That's something we want to develop. Something that we want to achieve. And so therefore, that's where it's saying, Om Yedam Guru Rana Mandala means. So it's saying, Idam, our personal meditation deity, Guru Masters, I'm going to offer this precious mandala, and please accept it. So then you, at the end of that, then you can visualize, the Guru Avalokiteshvara happily, delightfully, out of great compassion, accept the offerings, and accept your request, But again, the Guru Avalokiteshvara will always be looking at us, guiding us, carrying us, whether we make offering or not, whether we make requests or not. From their side, it is always there. But we have to create the right conditions to receive that from them. Even though the blessings are always there, if we don't have the right container, we will not be able to receive the blessing of that. Even if it's raining, you don't have the right bucket to hold the rain, you will not be able to receive. So you need a container to receive that. And same way, that's why we need to create that and to be able to receive it. Even though from their side, it's always there, always there. But in order for us to receive it, then we need to create a cause condition, and that is, through that kind of making offerings and requests and that, and yeah, so that, okay. The next one, the blessing by the masters. So page number 10, if you have the, so then there is the page number 10. From the Shri, so Shri syllable, okay, there is a different traditions of reciting the Om Mani Padme Hum, sometimes, according to some tradition, they recite Om Mani Padme Hum Shri, But in our tradition, we just recite Om Mani Padme Hum. Shri is that syllable, but we don't recite that. But according to some other traditions, they also recite Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. So anyway, Shri at the heart of Avalokiteshvara, sitting in the heart of my venerable masters. So Shri at the heart of Avalokiteshvara Cherisik, forearm Cherisik at his heart. On top of the, moon disk. And then Avalokiteshvara, forearm Avalokiteshvara, is seated in the heart of my venerable masters. So my master, His Holiness Dalai Lama. So that Cherisik at the heart, Avalokiteshvara, forearm Cherisik at the heart of His Holiness Dalai Lama masters. And from that Shri syllable, so Shri syllable standing up, and that Shri syllable, again, transparent, glowing with the lights of rays of lights. And that Shri syllable is, again, enlightened, compassionate, exalted wisdom, okay? But manifesting that form of letter and that sound, okay? In terms of letter, there's that Shri letter, whether you visualize as a Sanskrit letter or as a Tibetan letter or as an English letter, it doesn't matter. Whatever you feel, if it's possible, better to have Sanskrit, but that doesn't mean that if you visualize in English, then it doesn't have the same blessings, okay? So whatever letter you visualize, the things that you have to imagine, you have to think that it is not just a ordinary letter or syllable or sound, Shri sound, but it is in actual, it is the enlightened, compassionate, exalted wisdom, but displaying or manifesting in that aspect of that such letter and that sound. So that is always flow the stream of nectars and rays of light, or 5 colors, penetrating the crown of my head. And from that she's letter, then it flow. And so not only the letter is that enlightened, exalted, compassionate, exalted wisdom, but the light and the nectar that flow from that is also enlightened, compassionate wisdom, exalted wisdom in the form of, in the aspect of nectar, like kind of orange, yellow nectar, and light in that way. 5 color lights, white, yellow, red, green, and blue, 5 colors. And we already discussed, and that symbolize the 5 wisdom, 5 dhyana Buddhas, and so forth. Penetrating the crown of my head, then going through your crown on your head. And as it goes inside from the crown, from your central channel to the whole your body, whole your body, feel your whole body, and eliminating all the obscurations, So eliminating as it flow from the crown downwards, like taking a shower, inside, outside, cleansing and purifying and eliminating all the negative karma, all the delusions, all the obscuration completely in the form of dark, kind of heavy, dark dirts, cleansing and purifying that completely. And then yourself become like crystal clear, transparent, crystal clear, without any negative energy, without any negative, not even the trace of that negative energy. And then, endow me with both common and exclusive powerful attainment, and then receiving all the blessings of body, speech, and mind, receiving all the realizations of numbering, from Guru devotion to the union of no more learning, receiving all the realizations, and as well as, both common and exclusive powerful attainments or siddhis, we can discuss that later, that there are kind of 18 common kind of siddhis that is described in the tantric teachings, accomplishment of siddhis, or power, 8 different powers that can be tools to be help and benefit of the sentient beings. And exclusive powerful attainment here, meaning to the supreme attainment, supreme accomplishment, that is the enlightenment. That refers to enlightenment. So while you do that visualization, while you keep that visualization, then you recite His Holiness name mantras. His Holiness name mantras. And so while you are receiving the His Holiness Dalai Lama's name mantras, you do that visualization that has just been described. And so the mantra, Om A Guru Vaja Dara Waginda Sumadi Shasana Dara Samoda Shris Bada Sawasidi Hum Hum. So you can recite, 1 time, 3 times, 7 times, 21 times, 1 mala, 108, or many malas, as much as you can. And while you recite that mantra, you try to do that visualizations as is described. So I think maybe today, maybe we will have there is one cautions. The inner strength comes only through karma. Is that correct? Sometimes I don't know, when you say come from karma, it is, you have to create karma, it's not like when we have that kind of, sometimes it feel like everything's karma, then it feel like, it's something that you already have created karma, and then you can create new karma immediately. You can create the strength now. You can create the strength now. You can create the self-confidence now. You can create the courage now by practicing. So it doesn't mean that that you have to have already created something in the past to be able to receive that. It's all in our hand. It's all in our mind. You can change the karma immediately now. Karma can be changed. Karma can be transformed. Karma can be created. So So I don't know exactly when that caution is put. There's too much caution. I don't know. Now, there is one more caution. There's one more caution. The four continents are symbolic, and are they not literal four continents? Can we talk about four continents? Again, we can talk about four continents and all, but I don't think it's so. I don't know. We can talk about it, but I don't know it is so important at this point, and I mentioned whether it's literal or not, there's different way of understanding it. Just as I understand, there are different understanding whether there's real Mount Meru or not. Same with four continent. There are scholars, practitioners who believe there is a four continent, not just a imagination, but there's a real four continents, just as I mentioned with the Mount Meru. Then there are other certain scholars, certain practitioners who think it is just a visualization, imaginations to kind of that help for your practice. So it's not like, it's just different scholar, different practitioner, different understanding of that. His Holiness name mantra, are there many versions? If there one is not more beneficial, this one is used a lot. Yeah, there are a few different versions, and I can't say this is more beneficial than others. I cannot say this is more beneficial than others. I cannot make that. Personally, I cannot make that judgment or comments. Five color light is the visualization. Five color light used more in Guru Yoga. I noticed it was in Easy Path meditation as well. You can use, it's not only on the Guru Yoga, it can be used in other tantric practice. It is, sometimes they just describe just light, sometimes they just read five color, sometimes it can be just white light. So Sambhoga is the visualization. Sambhoga also planting the seeds imprint for when we are highly realized. Both sattvas can actually see the Sambhoga action similar to result. I think when you reach certain point of your realizations, whether you have visualized it or not, you are going to see it. You have access to that because of your realizations, whether you visualize or not. But definitely, when we visualize it, definitely we have more imprint of that. When we try to see some Sambhoga form, then we try to see in the actual all the Buddha's form with all the Buddha's qualities, with all the major or minor, so that can help us to have, for certain individuals, it can be helpful to feel more stronger faith and more stronger devotion and so on. Zahum Bam, is this best to recite this when wisdom being comes in? Some practice have it, some do not. Yeah, I think, I think it would be not correct for me, like someone like me, to make a judgment based on, of course, when there is a more digital practices, there is all of this. When there is a short practices, you don't have all these words and everything that is in. So it doesn't mean if you do the visualization, it's same whether you say the words or not. And I cannot say it's more beneficial or not less beneficial if you do the. That will be making me to judge that those who doesn't zahum bahum, that is less beneficial practice, and those who have that is more beneficial. Those all those different form of practice are made by all those enlightened great masters, and so if one was more beneficial, one less beneficial, why would they like that? And sometimes it's just composed and written by the same teachers, same masters. So I think a lot of those become sometimes maybe we can become too I don't know, always trying to compare all the time. Sometimes maybe we don't need to do that all the time, Self-generation, I may have misheard this on recording or visualizing made it before 7 limb. Does one self-generate? Again, there is no self-generation in this practice, of that particular deities or any deities here, So again, it depends on individual practice, what particular sadhana or particular practice you are basing on, it's not like that every practice is the same. Some have self-generation, some do not have. And so if you go through all his holiness practice, he said there is no description of self-generations here, so you just follow that. Yeah. So I think that is all. I think is there any more questions? It seems that is all the questions is there so far. So otherwise, okay, so then we do the dedications. Okay. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and the mind, obtain the ocean of happiness enjoyed by virtues of my madness. May no living creature suffer, commit evil for evilly. May no one be afraid, be little with a mind weighed down by depressions. May the blind see form and the deaf hear sound. May those whose bodies are worn and torn be restored and find repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drink. May the poor find wealth and those who in sorrow find joy. And may forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer. Prayers be fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments, whatever disease there in the world. May they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be free. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient makes remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, I think we can do. I like to keep it a little bit more kind of short. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. And thank you. And if you have any more questions you didn't have opportunity to ask, please bring next time and ask next time. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.